My fiancée bachelorette party group chat accidentally included me. I read messages planning how to enjoy one last night of freedom with male strippers and her ex-boyfriend. I never replied. I just sent the screenshots to her father, who was paying for the entire wedding. I am 28, male. I have been with my fiancée for 4 years. We have been engaged for 8 months. The wedding was supposed to be in 3 weeks. To give you the financial context, her father offered to pay for everything. The venue, the catering, the photographer, the florist, the DJ, the whole package. We are talking roughly $45,000 based on the invoices I had seen crossing through our shared wedding planning folder. I was covering the honeymoon to Hawaii and some smaller expenses, which still ran me about $8,000 in non-refundable deposits. Last Tuesday night around 11 p.m., I got added to a group chat. I didn't recognize the number that added me. I figured it was something wedding-related, since we had been coordinating with vendors and various family members constantly for the last month. The chat was already active with about 15 messages when my phone buzzed on the nightstand. I picked it up. I unlocked the screen. Then I started reading. Her maid of honor had created the group for bachelorette party planning, except she had accidentally added my number instead of someone else's. It was probably a mix-up with contacts, since my fiancé and I have similar phone number patterns. 1-digit difference. A simple, easy mistake that ended a 4-year relationship. The messages I read made my stomach drop through the floor. It wasn't just girl talk. It was a conspiracy. Maid of honor. Okay, ladies, I found the perfect place. Private room, 6 dancers minimum, and they do special performances if you tip right. I already put down the $500 deposit. Cousin, yes. Finally, she deserves one last night of actual fun before she is stuck with him forever. Lol, college friend is ex-boyfriend still coming. She said she wanted to say goodbye properly before the wedding. Lol. Maid of honor, he confirmed yesterday, flying in just for this weekend. She has been texting him for weeks about it. Says she needs closure before she settles down for good. My heart was hammering against my ribs. Closure, flying in. Then my fiancée jumped in. Seeing her name pop up in the chat felt like a physical blow. Fiancée, you guys are the best. I need this so bad. One night to remember before I have to be a boring wife for the rest of my life. Ex-boyfriend knows what I like, and I am not wasting my last chance to feel alive. There were more messages after that. Plans for a hotel suite they had booked so they wouldn't have to come back to our place. Inside jokes about things she would never tell me. Her maid of honor joking that what happens at the bachelorette stays at the bachelorette, and everyone responding with laughing emojis. But one message from her college friend stood out. The one that sealed it. College friend. Just make sure you shower before you go home Sunday. Lol. Do not want him smelling anything suspicious. They were literally planning how to hide the biological evidence of her cheating. I sat there on our couch for probably 20 minutes just staring at my phone screen, reading and rereading. 4 years together. A house we just signed a lease on 2 months ago. A life I genuinely thought we were building together. She was in bed in the next room sleeping peacefully. I could hear her breathing. She was dreaming about her last night of freedom, while I was sitting there realizing I was her prison warden. I didn't reply to the chat. I didn't confront her. I didn't storm into the bedroom and scream. Instead, I did the only thing that made sense. I documented everything. I screenshotted absolutely every single message in that chat, every timestamp, every name, every joke about hiding the smell. Then I left the group silently. Group chats usually do not push a notification when someone leaves if they do it quickly enough. I prayed they wouldn't notice. I barely slept that night. I laid next to her wondering how long she had been planning this. Wondering if the texting with her ex was something recent, or if it had been going on our entire relationship. Wondering if I had ever actually known her at all. The next morning after she left for work, I called her father. We have always had a decent relationship. He is old school, traditional values. The kind of guy who believes in loyalty and honor and doing things the right way. He had welcomed me into his family like a son, paid for the wedding without being asked, because he wanted his little girl to have the best day of her life. He answered on the second ring cheerful. "Hey son, everything okay with the wedding prep? The caterer give you any trouble about the dietary restrictions? Sir, I need to send you something. I need you to look at it before the bachelorette party this weekend. It is really important." "Okay, sounds serious. Send it over." I emailed him the screenshots, every single one. Then I waited. He called me back 45 minutes later. His voice was completely different. The cheerfulness was gone, replaced by something cold and hard. "Where did you get these messages?" he asked. I explained the accidental group chat edition. I told him I hadn't confronted her yet. I asked him what he thought I should do. There was a long silence on the line. I could hear him breathing. I could hear the clock ticking in his office. Then finally he said, "You are a good man. You didn't deserve this. I raised her better than this. I am handling my daughter. You handle yourself." That was Wednesday morning. The bachelorette party was scheduled for Friday night. Thursday afternoon, I got a call from my fiancée while I was at work. She was crying so hard I could barely understand her at first. It was a guttural, panicked sobbing. "My dad just called me. He said he is pulling out of the wedding. He won't pay for anything. He called me a disgrace." "What did you do?" I stepped outside to the parking lot for privacy. I kept my voice calm and level. "I didn't do anything. Your group chat did." Dead silence on her end. Then her voice trembling. "What group chat?" "The one your maid of honor accidentally added me to Tuesday night. The one where you talked about your ex flying in for your bachelorette party. The one where you said you needed one last night to feel alive before settling down. The one where your friends joked about you showering before coming home so I wouldn't smell anything suspicious." She started stammering desperately. "That was just, we were joking. It is girl talk, bachelorette party stuff. It didn't mean anything real." "Then why is your ex literally flying in this weekend just for this party? Why did you confirm he knows what you like?" More silence. Then she hung up without another word. "I have been staying at my buddy's apartment since Thursday night. I haven't gone back to our place." Her father called every single wedding vendor and canceled everything that same day. He ate thousands of dollars in lost deposits himself rather than let the wedding proceed. He told me later he would rather lose the money than watch his daughter make a mockery of marriage vows on his dime. Her mother has called me 6 times since then. I haven't answered. Her maid of honor sent me a 4-paragraph text calling me a controlling psycho for spying on a private conversation between friends. My fiancé has alternated between sobbing apologies and threats to tell everyone I was abusive and manipulative if I do not somehow fix this situation. Her father texted me Friday morning, "You did the right thing, son. I am sorry my daughter isn't who either of us thought she was. You deserved better. The wedding is officially canceled. I am in the process of getting refunds on what I can from the honeymoon bookings, and I am trying to figure out how to explain to my own family and friends why there won't be a wedding in 3 weeks. Update 1. The smear campaign. 5 days later. Thanks everyone for the support on the original post. Things have escalated significantly since then, so let me catch everyone up on the chaos. The day after my original post, the harassment campaign really kicked into high gear. Her maid of honor created a new group chat, this time definitely without me, and apparently coordinated a full assault on my reputation through everyone I know. My mom got a call from someone claiming I had serious anger issues and had threatened my fiancé during arguments. My sister got a DM from an account she didn't recognize saying I was mentally unstable and controlling. My best man got approached at a bar by her cousin who tried to convince him I had been emotionally abusive throughout our entire 4-year relationship. This is classic DARVO strategy. Deny attack and reverse victim and offender. Make the person who caught you the villain instead. But here is the thing they didn't count on. I had already shared the screenshots with my family before the flying monkeys arrived. My people knew the truth. When her maid of honor called my mom to spread her version of events, my mom simply said, "Honey, I have seen the messages your friend wrote. She was planning to cheat on my son with her ex-boyfriend at a party you were organizing. Maybe worry about that instead of calling me with this nonsense." The phone went completely silent, and then the maid of honor hung up. Then came the direct confrontation I had been expecting. Sunday afternoon, my fiancée showed up at my buddy's apartment building, just appeared in the hallway. When I opened the door, mascara was streaked down her face. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. "We need to talk, please. Just hear me out for 5 minutes." My buddy looked at me from the couch, eyebrow raised. I nodded slightly. Better to handle this directly than let it fester. She came inside and immediately started crying harder. "I do not know why you are doing this to me, to us, to everything we built together. I made one stupid mistake." "You didn't make a mistake," I said. "You made a plan for weeks. Coordinated with your friends to hook up with your ex at your bachelorette party while I sat home trusting you. I wasn't going to actually do anything with him. It was just fantasy stuff. Just something to get out of my system before we got married. Girls do this. You said you needed one last night to feel alive before you had to settle down and be a boring wife. Those were your exact words. You called being married to me settling down, like it was giving up, like I was some kind of prison sentence you were accepting." She switched tactics immediately, tears turning to anger. "So what? You went running to my father, like a child running to a parent instead of coming to me first like an adult in an adult relationship. Why would I come to you first? So you could gaslight me into thinking I was overreacting. So you could hide the evidence and go through with your plans anyway. So you could lie to my face again. I told you it was just talk. Nothing was actually going to happen. Your ex was literally flying across the country just for this weekend. You had been texting him for weeks making plans. Your friends were joking about you showering before coming home. At what point exactly was nothing going to happen?" She didn't have an answer for that. She just stood there with her mouth open. Then she tried the guilt manipulation angle. "My dad won't even look at me now. My mom is crying constantly. You have completely destroyed my entire family over some stupid messages." "No. You destroyed your family when you planned to cheat on me 3 weeks before our wedding and your father found out what kind of person you actually are. That is not on me. This isn't fair. I didn't actually do anything yet. It was just planning, just talking." My buddy finally spoke up from the couch. "Lady, if my fiancée was texting her ex for weeks planning to say goodbye properly, before our wedding, I wouldn't care whether she actually went through with it or not. The intent is the betrayal. The planning is the betrayal. The lying is the betrayal." She turned on him viciously. "This is none of your business. Stay out of it. You are standing in my living room uninvited. It is literally my business now." She looked back at me, desperation replacing anger. "So that is really it. 4 years together and you are just done, just like that. You won't even try to work through this. 4 years together and you were planning to sleep with your ex before marrying me. You were texting him for weeks while sleeping next to me every night. Yeah, I am done." She left. Slammed the door so hard a picture frame fell off the wall and cracked. But the entitlement didn't stop with that confrontation. Tuesday morning I got an email from her personal account. Subject line: "Fair is fair." The email demanded I pay her $8,000 to compensate her for the wedding deposits her father lost, the custom wedding dress she had already purchased, the emotional damage I had caused by humiliating her in front of her entire family. I forwarded the email to her father without adding any comment of my own. He replied 20 minutes later, "I will handle this." Yesterday evening her mother called me directly. Different approach than the maid of honor. Soft voice, gentle tone, playing the sympathetic peacemaker. "Sweetheart, I know my daughter made some serious mistakes, but you have to understand. She was just scared, pre-wedding nerves, cold feet. It happens to so many couples. Couldn't you two maybe try couples counseling before throwing everything away?" Ma'am, with respect, your daughter wasn't having cold feet. She was actively coordinating with her ex-boyfriend for weeks to meet up during her bachelorette party. She was making plans with her friends to hide evidence from me. That is not fear, that is calculated deception. But she loves you, she has told me so 100 times. She has been crying for days. She also said she needed one last night to feel alive before being stuck with me forever. She called me boring. She said her ex knows what she likes. That doesn't sound like love to me. That sounds like contempt. Long pause on the line. Then her tone hardened slightly. You are making a huge mistake walking away. No woman is going to be perfect. You will never find someone who doesn't have flaws. You are being unrealistic about someone who doesn't plan to cheat on me before we are even married. I think that is a pretty reasonable standard. I am willing to take my chances. She hung up without saying goodbye. The apartment situation is getting complicated. Both our names are on the lease since we signed it together. She is refusing to move out and demanding I continue paying my half of the rent even though I am not living there. I have contacted a lawyer friend to figure out my options. I am looking at potentially losing the security deposit entirely and eating some additional costs just to get out clean and be done with her. Her ex-boyfriend, by the way, according to her cousin, who apparently had a crisis of conscience and reached out to me directly, he showed up for the bachelorette party anyway that Friday. The party still happened, just smaller, sadder, and with the bride-to-be crying half the night. And he left Saturday morning when he realized the wedding was canceled and there was way too much drama for what he had signed up for. You cannot make this stuff up if you tried. Final update. The resolution. 2 weeks later. It has been roughly 2 weeks since the wedding was supposed to happen. The date came and went last Saturday. I spent it at my parents' house eating my mom's pot roast and watching college football with my dad. Not exactly how I pictured that particular Saturday going when I proposed 8 months ago, but honestly it was peaceful. Let me wrap up all the loose ends. The apartment situation. My lawyer friend sent a formal letter to the landlord explaining the circumstances of the relationship ending. He provided documentation including the canceled wedding and the screenshot evidence. The landlord actually turned out to be surprisingly reasonable about everything. He agreed to let me off the lease early with just 1 month as penalty payment, $1,400, since I had been the one making consistent on-time payments for the entire year we had been there. My ex-fiancée is now solely responsible for the remaining 9 months of the lease, or she needs to find someone to take it over. Her dad apparently told her directly he wasn't helping with rent after what she did. Her mom caved after a week and is covering it temporarily, but everyone knows that is not sustainable long-term. Her family fallout. Her father still hasn't spoken to her in 2 full weeks according to mutual friends. Her mother is caught in the middle trying to broker some kind of peace between them, but her dad is apparently done making excuses for her behavior. Her younger brother actually reached out to me directly last week to apologize on behalf of the family. He said he doesn't blame me one bit for how I handled things. He also mentioned that their dad had discovered this wasn't the first time she had bent the truth about her behavior in past relationships. The screenshots just confirmed a pattern he had been worried about for years. The entitlement continued. Last week she actually had an attorney send me a formal demand letter. She wanted half the cost of the wedding deposits her father lost, roughly $22,500. Full reimbursement for her custom wedding dress, $3,200. General damages for emotional distress caused by my actions, $10,000. Total demanded, $35,700. For catching her planning to cheat on me and telling her father about it. My lawyer friend responded with a letter pointing out that the deposits were paid entirely by her father, not her, so she had absolutely no legal standing to recover them from me. She purchased the dress for a wedding she herself sabotaged through her own documented actions. There is no legal basis whatsoever for emotional distress damages when the distress was directly caused by natural consequences of her own behavior. I had extensive documented evidence of her planning infidelity that would be extremely unfavorable to her public reputation in any court proceeding. Her attorney withdrew the demand letter within 3 days. We haven't heard anything from her legal representation since. The ex-boyfriend situation. Here is the part that is almost funny if it weren't so pathetic. Her ex apparently expected the canceled wedding meant she would want to get back together with him. When things imploded, he assumed she would come running back to him as the backup option. She rejected him flat, told him she had only wanted closure, and one night, not an actual relationship. So this guy flew across the entire country for what he thought was a bachelorette party hookup, got caught in the middle of a complete family implosion, watched the wedding get canceled, and then left with absolutely nothing. Her cousin told me he has been badmouthing her to anyone who will listen, now telling people she used him and led him on. The bridge burner got her own bridges burned right back. The maid of honor, the person whose mistake with phone numbers accidentally added me to that group chat. She is apparently being blamed by my ex-fiancée for ruining everything. Their friendship of 20+ years is effectively destroyed. The maid of honor is telling everyone who asks that she was just helping plan exactly what the bride asked for, and that my ex-fiancée was the one who specifically requested her ex be invited. No one is taking responsibility. Everyone is pointing fingers at everyone else. As for me, I am doing okay. Not great. 4 years is a significant amount of time to invest in someone who turned out to be capable of this level of deception. But I am okay. I have got genuine support from my family, my close friends, and weirdly from her own father. He sent me a bottle of nice whiskey last week with a handwritten note that said, "For what it is worth, I would have been proud to call you my son-in-law. You deserved better than what my daughter gave you. I am staying with my buddy until I find my own place, which should be within the next few weeks. Work has been a decent distraction from everything. I have started seeing a therapist to help process all of this. Not because I am falling apart, but because I want to understand how I missed the warning signs for 4 years. Want to make sure I do not miss them again with someone else down the road." The wedding dress, by the way, it is still hanging in the apartment closet according to her brother. She apparently refuses to look at it, cannot return it because it was custom altered, and won't throw it away either. It is just hanging there. A $3,200 monument to choices and their consequences. I do not feel victorious about any of this. I do not feel satisfied or vindicated. I just feel relieved. Relieved I found out before the wedding instead of 3 years into a marriage. Relieved I trusted my gut instinct to document everything instead of confronting her directly and giving her a chance to lie and delete evidence. Relieved her father turned out to be the kind of man who valued honesty and accountability over blindly protecting his daughter is mistakes. Some people in the comments of my original post said I should have talked to her first, given her a chance to explain herself. Maybe they are right in some theoretical sense, but practically speaking, she was texting her ex for weeks, making plans. She was coordinating detailed arrangements with her friends. Her friends were literally joking about evidence disposal. That is not a momentary lapse in judgment you talk through over dinner. That is a pattern of calculated deception you protect yourself from. I do not know what she will do with her life going forward. Do not really care anymore. My chapter with her is completely closed. The group chat that was supposed to plan a wild bachelorette party ended up planning the end of a wedding instead. Sometimes the trash takes itself out. It just needs an accidental push in the right direction. Thanks for following along through all of this. Time to move forward.